Hi guys, I trust that you're feeling well and awesome. Welcome to this video on grade 12 mathematics, and in this video we'll be having a look at long division of polynomials. Now in the previous video we looked at the factor theorem, and you would remember this slide is from the previous video where we were doing examples on how to find at least one factor of each of these expressions. And I figured instead of coming up with different questions, why not just use the same questions that we ended off in the previous video and actually find the remainder of the factors for those expressions. If you have not watched our previous video as yet, I would highly suggest that you go have a look at it so that you understand that some of the factors that we're going to use here in this video, where we actually got them from. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into long division of polynomials. So we're going to start from the second question that we have here. We're going to start from this x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x minus 4. And what we're going to do is that we're going to factorize it fully. So, going to our writing pad, here we are. We've got our equation, and we determined from the previous video that x plus 1 is a factor of this expression. If you don't know how we got x plus 1 as a factor, I would highly suggest that you go have a look at the previous video so that you have a proper understanding of exactly where to get the factors from. So, long division. Let's talk about this. How are we going to do the long division? Actually, what we need to do is we need to draw our division sign. So there's our division sign. Then inside of the division sign, we need to write down our expression. So x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x minus 4. On the side, we're going to write our factor, which is x plus 1. Right. Now that we have the setup ready, let's get into the actual process. So what you do is, you take the first term of your cubic expression divided by the first term of your factor. So, we are saying x cubed divided by x. From laws of exponents, this is supposed to give me x squared. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the x squared right up there. Now the next step is going to be, we need to take this x squared and multiply it out with the factor. So, we have x squared multiplied by x plus 1. This is going to give us, let me put it this side, this is going to give us x cubed plus x squared. What we do with this expression is we write it underneath our cubic expression. So x cubed plus x squared. Then when you get to this point, what you need to do is you need to do a bit of subtraction. So before we do some subtraction, let's just put a line here. Then what we do is we put a bracket. Then we put a minus sign. So x cubed minus x cubed, that's going to cancel out. Then 3x squared minus x squared, this is going to give us positive 2x squared. Once you have this, you take this term and you bring it down. So there's minus 2x. Right. Now we do the same thing that we did with the first term in our cubic expression. In other words, what we need to do now is we need to say, okay, we take this 2x squared and we divide it by x. So 2x squared divided by x, this is just going to give me positive 2x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the positive 2x right there. Then, just like we did with the first term, we say 2x multiplied by our factor. So let's have a look at this. Let me just get an eraser up here to erase what we've done previously. So now we are multiplying out the 2x with the x plus 1. If you multiply this out, you're going to get 2x squared plus 2x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that right underneath our factors. So 2x squared plus 2x. Once again, I need to do some subtraction. So I'm going to put a line here. Then what I do is I put a bracket and a minus. 2x squared minus 2x squared, that will cancel out. 2x minus 2x, sorry, negative 2x minus 2x, that's going to give us a negative 4x. Wonderful. Then we do the same thing that we did in the previous step. Now what we need to do is we need to say, okay, let's take this negative 4x and divide it by our factor. So negative 4x divided by x, this is going to give me negative 4. So I'm going to put the negative 4 there. Next step is going to be multiply negative 4 with the expression of x plus 1. So let's see. This is negative 4 multiplied by x plus 1. This will give you negative 4x minus 4. Once again, we take that negative 4x, and I forgot to bring down the minus 4 there, so there's our minus 4. Now we take this expression and we will write it right underneath. So negative 4x minus 4. Once again, we need to do some subtraction. So there we are. When we do some subtraction here, negative 4x minus minus 4x, that's going to cancel out. Negative 4 minus minus 4 is going to cancel out. We remain with the 0. And once you have a 0 here, then you're good to go. Life is great. So what are the factors of our expression? Well, we take our first factor here, which is the x plus 1. Then we multiply it with whatever is on top of the division sign. So this is going to be x squared plus 2x minus 4. Now, looking at the factor that we found, the quadratic factor, we could see that this cannot be factorized. So therefore, you are done factorizing the expression. This is your final answer. I hope that it makes sense. Let's go back to our notes and let's see what was the other question that we had. So now we're done with this one. Let's have a look at the k of x is equals to x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. So let's write this down. We said we've got k of x is equals to x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. And once again, if you can remember from our previous video, we determined that x plus 1 is a factor. Once again, if you have not watched the previous video on the factor theorem, I would highly suggest that you have a look at it before you come back and try the questions here. So once again, we need to put our division sign. So there's our division sign. Then inside of the division sign, or underneath the division sign, we need to put our cubic expression. So x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. On the left, we will put our factor. Right. Then we start the division process. We take the first term in our cubic expression, x cubed. We divide it by the first term of our factor, which is x. This, from the laws of exponents, will just give you x squared. I will write the x squared just above the division sign. The next step is I need to multiply this x squared with our factor. So I'm going to say x squared into x plus 1. And this is going to give us x cubed plus x squared. This x cubed plus x squared, I need to put it underneath our expression. We need to put it underneath our cubic expression. The next step is we need to do some subtraction. So once again, introduce brackets with the negative sign, bring a line in. So what we're going to have here is x cubed minus x cubed cancels out. Then 4x squared minus x squared is going to give us minus 5x squared. We bring down the x. Right. Let's move on. So now we're basically going to repeat the process. Let's first start by erasing this. The second step of our process now is going to be, we need to take this minus 5x squared and divide it by the first term in our factor. So minus 5x squared divided by the first term in our factor, which is x, and this is just going to give us minus 5x. We write the minus 5x up there. The next step is going to be, we take the minus 5x and we multiply it with the factor. So minus 5x multiplied by x plus 1. This is just going to give us minus 5x squared minus 5x. So let's write this down. Minus 5x squared minus 5x. Once again, I need to do some subtraction here. So introduce the brackets and put a division line with the minus sign. So negative 5x squared minus 5x squared, that cancels out. Then x minus 5x, this is going to give us positive 6x. Wonderful. Once we have the positive 6x, we just repeat the cycle. So we're going to say we take the 6x and we divide it by the first term in our factor. So 6x divided by 6, this is going to give us positive 6. But what we do is we put the positive 6 right up there. Sorry, I forgot again to bring down the positive 6 there. Right, now that I have positive 6 in my quotient, I'm going to take the positive 6 and multiply it by the factors. So 6 into x plus 1. This is going to give me 6x plus 6. Then once again, I am going to put 6x plus 6 there. And I'm going to do some subtraction again. After doing the subtraction, you would notice that 6x minus 6x is 0. 6 minus 6, this gives us 0. Since we have a 0 as our remainder, we are good to go. So now when we factorize this, we are going to get x plus 1 into x squared minus 5x plus 6. We can go ahead and factorize the quadratic quotient. So this is going to be x plus 1 into, let's have two brackets there. This is x here, this is x there. This is minus 3, this is minus 2. There we have it, we have factorized our cubic expression using long division. Life is great. Let's move on to the next expression in our notes. So we are done here now. Now for the third expression, we've got x cubed plus x squared minus 9x minus 9. So let's take a look at that one. So let's open a new sheet of paper. And our equation is p of x is equals to x cubed, let's see, plus x squared minus 9x minus 9. Now, once again, from the previous video, we have determined that x plus 3 is a factor. So let's just write this down. X plus 3 is a factor. We determined this using the factor theorem, once again from the previous video. So once we have this, we now need to go ahead and draw our division line. So, okay, that's a wrong division line. There is our division sign. Inside of the division sign, or underneath the division sign, we put our cubic expression, x cubed plus x squared minus 9x minus 9. Then on the side, on the left, we put x plus 3. Let's get started. We take the first term of our cubic expression divided by the first term of our factor. So x cubed divided by x, this is going to give us x squared. Once again, we put the x squared up there. Then we multiply this x squared by our factor. So x squared into x plus 3. This is going to give us x cubed plus 3x squared. We write the x cubed plus 3x squared right underneath our cubic expression. So x cubed, whoops, plus 3x squared. Then we need to do the subtraction. Once again, introduce brackets with the negative sign and introduce a line. Then we say x cubed minus x cubed, that gives us 0. Then x squared minus 3x. Let's think about this. X squared minus 3x. This is going to give us negative 2x squared. We bring down the negative 9x. Awesome. The next step is we are going to repeat the process. So we are going to take this time around the 2x squared, negative 2x squared, and we're going to divide it by the first term in our factor. So negative 2x squared divided by the first term in our factor is x. This is going to give us negative 2x. What you do is you put the negative 2x up there. The next step now is we take the negative 2x that we have and we multiply it with our factor. This is going to give us negative 2x squared minus 6x. And we write that right underneath our first part, negative 2x squared minus 6x. Once again, when we get to this point, we need to do the subtraction. So to do the subtraction, we basically introduce the brackets as well as a negative sign. Then negative 2x squared minus 2x squared, this cancels out. negative 9x minus minus 6x. That's going to give us, if we think about that, that's going to be negative 3x. Wonderful. Now that we've determined the negative 3x, the first thing we need to do before I forget this time is we need to bring down the minus 9. Right. Now what we need to do is we need to say, okay, let's take the negative 3x that we have right here and we divide it by the first term in our factors. So negative 3x divided by x, that's going to give us negative 3. We append the negative 3 to the top of our division sign, and then the next step is we say, okay, negative 3, sorry, this is just negative 3, multiplied by x plus 3, and this is going to give you negative 3x minus 9. We take that and we write it underneath, so negative 3x minus 9. Once again, we are doing some subtraction, so we need to introduce a line with the negative sign. So, negative 3x minus minus 3x, that's going to cancel out. Then, 9 minus minus 9 gives us 0. We are good to go. Our factors, therefore, are going to be x plus 3 into x squared minus 2x minus 3. And when we factorize this, we're going to get x plus 3 into, this is factorizable, so this is x, this is x. Let's put minus 3 there, and let's put positive 1 there. There we are, the expression is factorized. Life is great. So you will notice that as we're busy doing this, there's a cycle or repetition that we need to follow. We do the division, then the multiplication, then subtraction. Division, multiplication, subtraction. Division, multiplication, subtraction, until you get an answer of 0. If for some reason you're not getting an answer of 0, one of two things is wrong. It's either the factor that you have is not actually a factor, or somewhere along the line in the steps involved up here, you made a mistake, and therefore you're not getting 0 as an answer. So please be extra careful and extra cautious when you're doing these type of questions. Right, let's look at the last question that we had. So we are done here. Life is great. Now we've got x cubed minus 4x squared minus 4x plus 16. So let's look at this one. I can do it right underneath here. So the expression we had was h of x is equals to x cubed minus 4x squared minus 4x plus 16. And once again, the first thing we need to do is to determine a factor. And if you've watched the previous video, you would remember that we got x plus 2 as a factor here. So let's write down that x plus 2 is a factor. Then what we need to do is we need to draw our division sign. So there's your division sign. And what we do is inside of the division sign, we've got x cubed minus 4x squared minus 4x plus 16. Then on the side to the left, we're going to put our factor of x plus 2. Then we begin. We take the first term of our cubic expression divided by the first term in the factor. So x cubed divided by x, that's going to give us x squared. This x squared is the one that we put at the top. Then what we do is we take the same x squared multiplied by our factor. So x squared into x plus 2. This is going to give us x cubed plus 2x squared. We take this and write it right underneath our cubic expression. X cubed plus 2x squared. We introduce some brackets and a negative sign, and then we draw our line. So when we look at this, x cubed minus x cubed is 0. Minus 4x squared minus 2x squared, that's going to be minus 6x squared. We bring down the minus 4x. Right. We begin the process all over again, but this time around we are using the negative 6x squared. So we say negative 6x squared divided by x. So negative 6x squared divided by x, this is just going to give us negative 6x. We take that same negative 6x and put it above the division sign. Then we take that negative 6x and we multiply it by x plus 2. This is going to give us negative 6x squared minus 12x. So let's write that down. Negative 6x squared minus 12x. Wonderful. We introduce some brackets and we subtract. Let's put a proper line here. Right, let's look at this. Negative 6x squared minus negative 6x squared, that's going to cancel out. Negative 4x minus minus 12x. That's going to give us negative 4x plus 12x, which is just going to be 8x. Wonderful. We repeat the process. So this time around, before we repeat the process, let's just bring down the positive 16. So there's positive 16. Now we say, okay, we take the 8x, there's the 8x, divided by our factor's first term, which is x. So 8x divided by x, that's just going to give you 8. What we do is we put the 8 above our division sign. The next step is we take the 8 and multiply it with our factor. And this is going to give us 8x plus 16. Life is so great because now you're going to have 8x plus 16 there. Then what you do is you introduce a negative sign. Then you put a line right there. This is going to be 8x minus 8x, that's 0. 16 minus 16 is 0. We have 0, we are good to go. So now we can write down the factors of this expression as x plus 2 into x squared minus 6x plus 8. When we get to this point, we can factorize the quadratic factor. So this is going to be x plus 2 into, we put an x there, let's put an x there. Factors of 8, I'm going to take negative 4 and negative 2. There we have it, we are done factorizing the expression. Life is great. I hope that this made sense to you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, that you understand long division a little bit better now. If you do, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up, please subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon so that you will always receive an update every time we upload a new video. And please don't be selfish, share the knowledge with other people, share this video with other people so that everybody can benefit from the knowledge that we are learning. Until we meet again, enjoy the rest of the day, have a blessed week, ciao.